Hi, my name is Dr. Catherine Adams, and I will be your instructor for Introductory Psychology this semester. I'm excited to get to know all of you. I wanted to take a moment and first introduce a little bit about myself, and then I'll briefly walk through some key information about the course. Please make sure to watch the entire video, as at the end I'll tell you about an extra credit opportunity that you can take advantage of. First, a little bit about me. I'm originally from Indianapolis, Indiana. For my undergraduate degree, I went to a small college called Butler University. If you're into NCAA men's basketball at all, you might have heard of them. Butler went back-to-back in the NCAA men's championship games in the 2010 and 2011 seasons, which just so happened to be during my freshman and sophomore years there. So I definitely got into watching college basketball during that time. And even though my Butler Bulldogs haven't made it back to the NCAA tournament in quite a while, I still really enjoy watching and cheering them on. After Butler, I went to Purdue University, where I earned my PhD in social psychology, which I completed in 2019. I then had my first teaching job for 1 year at a place called Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis, quite a mouthful, before I moved out to Virginia in June 2020, and I've been teaching psychology here at Virginia Tech ever since. When I'm not teaching, I enjoy checking out the Blacksburg Farmers Market, going for walks on the Huckleberry Trail, and of course, cheering on all of my now Butler, Purdue, and VT sports teams. On the right, you can see a picture of me, my housemate Tulu Otomayomi, and our friend Karen at my first ever VT football game. Now, a little bit about the course. I'll do a brief overview of some important points here, but you can check out more detailed information in our course schedule and syllabus. Our first assignment, which you'll need to complete before you can move on to the other modules, is actually a short quiz over the syllabus, so make sure to take some time to review that information in more depth. First, this is an online asynchronous course, meaning that there are no regularly scheduled lectures, either in person or virtually. Instead, you will watch pre-recorded lecture videos, like this one, on your own. With this format comes both some blessings, such as increased flexibility, as well as some potential added challenges. In particular, you'll need to be responsible for keeping up with the required lecture videos and readings each week. Psychology is certainly a fascinating topic, and I hope that you find the material in this course to be both interesting and useful. But in the end, you will ultimately get out of this course what you put into it. Even though this course is online, I do ask that you take it seriously and commit to completing the necessary work each week, just as you would in an in-person course. The course is divided into 14 modules or topical units. Here, you can see a screenshot of the first page of our course schedule, which is also located at the end of our syllabus. In a typical week, you will be required to complete 4 to 5 modules. Each module contains 1 to 2 required readings and about 2 to 5 required lecture videos, which are each typically around 10 minutes in length. At the end of each module, there is also a required quiz over that material with 8 questions worth 1/2 point each, or 4 points total. Each module quiz is required. For example, you have to complete the Module 1 quiz before you can move on to Module 2. There is no textbook for this course. Instead, your readings for each module will primarily come from a free resource called the NOBA Project. Because this is an accelerated winter course, please keep in mind that there will be a lot for us to cover each week. There will also be 3 exams in this course, one at the end of each week. Since the exams are online, I am making them OpenNote and OpenBook. However, you will need to complete them on Lockdown Browser with webcam and screen monitoring enabled. Because the exams are on Lockdown Browser, this means that you won't be able to pull up additional web pages or videos while taking the exam. So if you want to reference any notes during the exam, you'll need to have hard copies available. I would encourage you to actually sit down and take notes while completing the readings and watching the lecture videos, just like you would in a normal in-person class. This will hopefully help you to pay attention to the material while you are reading or watching it for the first time, and will also then be a resource you can use to reference while taking the exams. Additionally, even though the quizzes and exams are OpenNote and OpenBook, they are not easy. Exams will focus on higher-level application-focused questions. In other words, you won't simply be able to look up definitions in your notes. You'll need to actually know and understand the material at a conceptual level and be able to apply these ideas and concepts to real-world examples. Lastly, you are still responsible for doing your own work on all quizzes and exams in this course. This also means that you should not use AI resources, such as ChatGPT, while taking exams. If I discover an instance of cheating on a quiz or exam, it will be taken very seriously and could result in failing the course or further disciplinary action from the university if necessary. Let's take a look now together at our Canvas page. So this is our Canvas homepage, and I'll just show you kind of the key information on here real quick. So up here at the top, I have a link to the Getting Started module. This is everything you'll need to do before you can get started with the course material. That includes reading our course syllabus, watching this lecture video, which you're already doing. Here I have some answers to some frequently asked questions, as well as some study tips and strategies. And then lastly, again, you'll need to complete the syllabus quiz before you can move on. Here, I'll update this part of the homepage each week with kind of a weekly overview of what we'll be doing. So this week, we're going to be covering, in addition to the Getting Started module, we're going to be covering 4 modules of content: history and philosophy of psychology, psychology as a science, brains, bodies, and behavior, and sensation and perception. Here are all of the NOBA readings that you'll need to do for this week, but there are also links to the readings that are attached to each particular module on the module page. I'll show you what that looks like here in a second. Anything you need to watch, which is usually just going to be the lecture videos for each module, as well as anything that you need to complete. This week, again, you'll need to complete the syllabus quiz, the module quizzes for modules 1 through 4, as well as our first exam. Here I have some course objectives, so this is what I hope you will be able to complete by the end of the course. Some links to some helpful resources, including, again, a link to our syllabus and schedule, which, again, here you can see what that looks like. And if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you can see our full course schedule down here. And here's some information on contacting me. Again, I'm having regular office hours on Mondays and Tuesdays in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. So if you're in a different time zone, make sure to do that adjustment. If those times don't work for you, feel free to reach out and let me know, and we can schedule an alternate time to meet. So I just want to show you the module 1 page really quick so you can just kind of get a sense of each of the different components that are on the module pages. So up at the top, I will have your learning objectives. Required reading, so again, for this module, there's just 1 reading for the history of psychology. Again, here's a link to that and what that looks like. Here are the required videos. So these are my lecture videos. These are primarily where your exam questions will be coming from. Each module will have about 2 to 4 required lecture videos. It just kind of depends on how much material we have to cover for that particular unit. I've tried to keep the videos a little bit more manageable length, around 8 to 12 minutes, rather than just having one super long video. I know sometimes those can be hard to watch. And then here we have links to the PowerPoint slides for each of the videos. So if you want access to the slides themselves, you can get them here, or you can go over to the Files tab in the left-hand navigation menu and click on the PowerPoint slides folder, and you'll find all of those there. Here we have supplemental videos. So these are optional videos that you can watch if you want to learn more. Some of the videos you might find helpful, like if you found a particular topic just like really challenging, or you're still a little confused, for example, maybe you're not still quite sure how an action potential works. You might find watching those videos to be helpful for your studying. They might kind of share some additional information, or maybe just kind of explain things in a slightly different way than I did, and maybe that was particularly helpful for you, or maybe they just used a different example that was helpful for you. So some of the videos you might find them helpful in that sense. Some of the videos are just kind of if you want to learn more. Maybe you found a particular topic really interesting and you just kind of want to learn some more about that topic. If I've posted a video on that, obviously you're more than welcome to check that out, but these are optional videos, they're not required. Down here I have a couple sections that are designed to help you to study and prepare, as well as, again, maybe if you just found the topic really interesting and you want to learn more. So in particular, this Test Yourself section is designed to help you test yourself. That's one of the best ways to check if you really understood the material. So for example, after you have watched the 2 videos and done the NOBA reading for this particular section, can you do these things? Can you answer these questions without looking at your notes? If you can, that is a good indicator that you understood and took away from this module the key concepts that I really wanted you to. If not, like maybe you've kind of forgotten, I don't really remember what applied versus experimental is, that might be a good cue that you want to go back and kind of relook at that particular section. Here in the Apply It section, as again, I'll just have like some activities or thought questions or websites that you can do, sometimes for additional practice, or again, sometimes if you just want to learn more. Here for this particular Apply It section, we're talking about, kind of what is psychology, what are the different areas of psychology. And so I've highlighted for you some faculty videos. So we have some really wonderful psychology faculty here at Virginia Tech who are doing some really great research on some interesting topics. And some of them have made videos just for you for this particular class, where they have shared a little bit more about who they are, how they became a professor in psychology, and about their particular research area and what kinds of research questions they're answering in their particular lab. So if you want to learn more about some of our wonderful faculty here at Virginia Tech, you can check out these videos. I also have links to their homepage as well in the psychology department website, where again they have like their CV or some other kind of information about their background listed. But these you might find interested in checking out, especially if you're getting involved or you want to get involved in a research lab. If you are interested in going to grad school at all, they're probably really going to want to see that you have some research experience. So getting involved in a research lab is a great way to set yourself up for grad school if that's something that you're interested in doing. And if you're interested in getting involved in research and you don't know where to start, I made a PDF handout. It's on the home page. I think it's called Joining a Faculty or Joining a Research Lab. It's under the Quick Links and Helpful Resources section on the home page. That has some information about how you can do that. And watching these videos are another great step that you can take. You might find that there's somebody who's doing research on questions you find really interesting, and so that might be a great person for you, great faculty person to reach out to see if they have any openings for research assistants in their lab. You'll see these videos again throughout the course. So for example, when we get to the clinical section, you'll see Dr. Sam Kemper-Magario's video again. When we get to developmental, you'll see Dr. Zara Golseven's video again. So I'll pepper these again throughout the modules when they're relevant, but I have them all collated here for you on the first module page so you can find them easily. And then lastly, we have down here a link to our quiz for that particular module. Again, each quiz is going to be 8 questions worth half a point each. You do get 2 attempts. So if you miss a question or two the first time, you can take it again and try to improve your score. Your highest score will be recorded. You do have 30 minutes once you start taking the quiz, so just be aware of that as well. Again, the quizzes are required. You do have to complete them before you can move on in the course. So for example, if I try to click here on Module 4, it will tell me it's locked, and it will tell me there's some prerequisites that in my little student version of Canvas, my little student section hasn't completed these yet. I have a little test student that I have set up in Canvas, and the little test student hasn't completed these yet, so it's not letting me move on. If you're finding you can't move on to a particular module, there's a couple reasons why that might be. Again, the first is maybe you didn't complete all the prerequisites yet. So if you want to check your progress, you can click on the Modules tab over here in the left-hand navigation menu, which is what I just did, and you can get an overview, and you can see, for example, I've done everything for Module 2, but I haven't done everything for for Module 1 I've done everything, but I haven't done everything for Module 2 or 3 yet, so it's telling me that there's still some prerequisites I need to complete before I can move on. The other reason why you might not be able to move on in the course is I won't let you move on past a particular week. So this week we're only doing modules 1 through 4. That's what the exam is going to be on. So I won't actually let you move on to module 5 until I believe January 9th, I think, is when that opens. And partly that is because I want you to be tackling a manageable amount of material every week. If you try to just zoom through and do everything, it's going to be way too much for you, and it will probably hurt your performance on the exams. So I do have the pace of the course kind of set in that way. So again, if you can't move on, either you're trying to move on to a module that's too far ahead in the course and you'll need to wait until that opens, or it could be that you haven't completed all the prerequisites yet. Again, you can go to the modules page and kind of track your progress to see if there's something you still need to complete before you can move on. If you think a module should be unlocked for you or a quiz should be unlocked for you and it's not, and you've kind of double checked both of those things already, please feel free to shoot me an email and let me know. There could also be a mistake on my end, and so I'm happy to troubleshoot that with you as well. If you have any questions or issues that arise throughout the semester, please always feel free to reach out. I try to respond to emails within one business day, and I also will be holding regular virtual office hours on Mondays and Tuesdays from 10:30 a.m. to noon. Office hours are a time when instructors are available to talk with you about any questions you might have about the course, about how to study, or about college or psychology-related topics in general. One quick note, sometimes I do forget to turn on my Zoom room, so if you try to log onto my Zoom meeting and it says the meeting hasn't started yet, just shoot me a quick email and I'll be happy to get that set up for you. Additionally, if my regularly scheduled office hours don't work for you, please also feel free to reach out and I'm happy to schedule an alternate time when we can meet. Lastly, with this being an online course, I'd still really love to get to know some of you. So if you email me with your name, your year, your major, and one fun or interesting fact about yourself, you will get 1 bonus point. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I hope that you all enjoy the course.